Hello guys, welcome back to another one of my videos. This is your ABA Help and my name is Sarah Ellenwein. Today we are going to be talking about the 5 good and bad facts or truths of being an RBT. Some things you need to know, especially if you're considering going into this field, or maybe you're looking for something different, or maybe you're looking for a change in your current job. Let's talk about what that could look like and what you need to know. Are you new to this field? Are you a seasoned BCBA? I think there's a lot that we could all learn from this video, especially taking that step back and remembering an RBT's perspective. What are they dealing with? What's their job like? Kind of what are the truths now? The field has changed a lot over the past couple of years, so let's talk about it. Make sure you guys subscribe, like, and comment below what I might have missed in this video, or your perspective as an RBT or a BCBA. Like, what do you think are one of the top 5 truths about being an RBT, or some facts of the field that an oncoming or incoming behavior technician that wants to be an RBT might need to know? Before we get into these 5 topics that I chose today, I want to make sure I point out that these are experiences based on my RBT past, my research, and what I know about the field and what I'm familiar with. So you might know something different, or you might have learned something different. Just leave it down below so that way we can start that conversation. Just remember, doing my best over here. All right, truth number 1. So as an RBT, there's a lot of different things you can do in this field, and there's lots of different places you can work, which means different environments, right? So you could work in a clinical setting, a center like this. You could work in a client's home. You could work in a residential facility, in a school, daycare, preschool, private school, alternative schools. You could work in like high intense behavior facilities, overnights, long-term cares, lots of different options. There's even like hospital settings and things. There's so much varieties in RBT, and there's so many options. If one thing doesn't fit your schedule, another thing might. So you have a lot of changes that you could do. Like a big example I like to point out is in home, the hours are all over the place. So you could work evenings, you could work weekends, you work just daytime. You have to kind of find what works for your schedule. I know a lot of BCBAs and RBTs like to work in school districts because then you have a school schedule. So if you're able to work in the same school as your child, for example, you could be in the same schedule / routine as your child. So you work those school hours and have the school breaks off as well. So that is a big fact of this field. It's very flexible in that way. So when you're looking at different job opportunities, or if you're looking to make a switch, consider those facts. Okay, so for the next fact, this is a big one, probably one of the most important things you need to know if you're considering becoming RBT, or you currently are and you're looking maybe to get a new supervisor or something like that. You're switching companies. You have to be able to take feedback in this field. It is the core of this job, and any level that you're in, whether you're regional director, BCBA, supervisor, program manager, RBT, behavior tech, you have to be able to take feedback. There's a lot of characteristics that are required for this job in order to be successful and be happy. Taking feedback is one of them. Your supervisor, specialist RBT, that is literally their job. They are required to give you a minimum of 5% supervision for the RBT requirements, right? So they have to give you feedback. They have to give you feedback on the goals and the programs, and hopefully you have a good supervisor who does that well and does that often and does it in a manner that is respectful. So you're having those back and forth conversations and you're able to work through that feedback, not just do this better, listen to me, here's the consequences, let's move on type of feedback. I'm talking that collaborative relationship, because nobody deserves to be talked down negatively as feedback. That's not what I'm talking about. Talking about that goal building, that relationship building, the good stuff. Another big characteristic you need to have in this field is you need to always be on, you always need to be flexible and ready. So what I mean by that is you have to always be alert, ready, prepared to engage, especially with the younger clients. If you work in early intervention, you have to be ready to always play, talk, model, interact with your clients. And this goes for adults as well, teens and everything in between. You have to always be alert, especially if you have a higher intensity case where they might come up and punch you at any point in time because you're not quite sure why they don't like you. Or they just do that for fun. They might love you. But you always have to be safe and prepared, and flexible is key. So we might have a great VIP in place and you might have a solid team. Expectations are great, dreamy. But then your client comes in one day and bam, they're jumping off tables now, or they're taking their clothes off, or they're spitting in your face. These are all realities that you might face. So you gotta be flexible and know that your day-to-day might look different. That perfect VIP that you had yesterday might be, altered, scrapped, changed. Your BCBA might be having to test new things out today. and it's not gonna look like what you expected. You're not coming into a desk job every day and kind of getting that same rote expectation, job duty, come in, lunch, leave type of day. It's very different, very flexible. It's a huge requirement. Also for your schedule as well. So some companies, have you at the same client every day. Some companies it's changing, every day where you're like in a group of different kiddos you might work with. You might be like on call at some companies, things like that. So you have to be flexible in terms of if your client's sick, you're obviously not gonna work with them. So hopefully your company has an opportunity where you can work with a different client. Some companies you might have to go home and you might, have a different day than what you anticipated. Flexibility is key if you wanna have a happy, positive experience as an RBT. All right, guys, let's be real with this one. So your experience as an RBT is highly, highly dependent on your BCBA supervisor that you have and the company you work for. So you might love being an RBT and feel like you have the perfect company, perfect supervisor, your clients are amazing, you have just this lovely life, but you're like, I just need to make a few dollars more. So you switch to a different company and realize, holy smokes, I don't like this at all. They're rude or they're condescending. Maybe they don't do things the way you think they should be done, or they have a different style of intervention than what you're used to or what you prefer, or the clients are different ages than what you're comfortable with. So a company that can handle your feedback and handle your critiques or your needs is going to be crucial. Having that open communication in a company that welcomes that is going to be arguably one of the most important things for your day-to-day happiness is that support. A company that understands and truly respects your role as an RBT and knows you are the frontline here. You are the one that's putting in the literal blood, sweat, and tears, and you deserve everything. You deserve your needs being met and to be heard and to be a part of the team. It's not just the BCBA in this team. RBTs are so crucial, and you deserve a company that knows that. And know if you are feeling burned out right now and feeling like this might not be the best fit for you, might not be the best field, you aren't sure, try a different company, do your research, get to know where you're going, or if there's like a leadership change in your company, just know this isn't the field in a whole, switch around. Try different things out, try big companies, try small companies, search around, know exactly what you need and look for it, and don't be willing to sacrifice your needs. Another major thing that I love about this field that I just have such respect for is that we have an entry-level position. Now, I will be upfront, there's a lot of debate on if this is a good or bad thing in terms of quality of services and insurance and a whole bunch of other factors I could get into in a different video. But from my perspective, in general, surface level, dreamy land here, the fact that we have an entry-level high school minimum requirement as an RBT is amazing. So it allows so many people to get into the field of psychology and work with kids in such a professional, respectful way that wouldn't be possible in another field. For example, in one of our kind of co-field here, speech or OT, they don't have a high school level entry point. It typically starts at that bachelor levels or higher. So having a entry-level point as an RBT, allowing people to come into that psychology field and seeing ABA at its core, kind of working from that bottom up, I think is amazing. It's kind of that apprenticeship model. As you move up, if you become a BCBA, you can kind of work your way up rather than just jumping right into a BCBA and hoping you love the position. Whereas with the RBT level, you can kind of see what it's like. You get an idea, you get a feel for everything. I think that is super cool at its core, especially when you look at things like psychology where you have to have that master's level in order to even think about getting involved. Okay, so this is one that I've learned being a business owner. So this is kind of one of those truths that I want to nudge to you. RBTs are the core of how an ABA company makes their money. We base it off of how many hours an RBT is billing is kind of the core of the budget, the foundation of the company. Some companies might consider the other factors like how much a BCBA is making or billing. However, RBT is 99% of the focus here, and that's the way insurance is set up, is the profit that you make off an RBT is meant to cover all the business costs. So it's not meant to give the ABA companies and the owners a whole bunch of money if you have 20 RBTs, 50, 100, 200 RBTs, whatever it is, the more RBTs you have, the more money you make because you have more expenses. So if you have 50 plus RBTs, you have to offer things like FMLA and 50 employees in general, but you have to offer things like FMLA and benefits and those types of things. Insurance companies have to compensate for that. They have to kind of scale that up as the company grows. They need more money. RBTs are the core of how that's done. So my whole rant about that is to say you have so much worth. You have so much value to a company. To onboard you, pay for your training, if it's a good training program, is expensive. So bringing you on, paying all those initial costs, if we have to pay for your CPR, if we have to pay for your TB test, if we have to do like HIPAA trainings and things like that, expensive. So getting you onboarded and keeping you is really important because it's that bottom line. It's like after X amount of days you're with the company, you then kind of pay off your loss. So the company invested in you and they hired you, you kind of paid off that loss, and then now you're like profiting for the company, right? So when you get to that profiting part, they want you there. They want you staffing that case or cases. They need you part of that team. They need that stability because if they're having to cancel sessions on parents, everybody's getting frustrated and things like that. You have so much value, so you should speak up. You should express yourself, but also know the other side of the ABA business world is that there's a lot of RBTs in some areas and some there's not. So if there's not a lot of RBTs in your area and you're an RBT and you're in high demand, know your worth. Know you can negotiate. It might be an entry-level position, but you have training, you have a certification, you have additional resources and things that you're bringing to this company. So use that. Use that in your pay negotiation, your benefits, your flexible schedule that you need, or the day-to-day, like the communication. Use that to your advantage and know that if you're in a high demand area, you have a lot of weight. But also, like I said, the other side of that is if there are a lot of RBTs in your area, big ABA companies who don't get to know you personally or truly have that heart into the team and really want to see those low turnover rates because they're willing to put in that compassionate care with their team as well as their clients, they aren't going to care too much if you're not happy. They're just going to push you out and be like, all right, whatever, we'll replace that RBT. We've got 20 of them lined up. So be careful. If you're with a company that pays more than the others and has great benefits and is big company, so they have a big marketing budget, they're likely not needing you to stay. So if you start to get too demanding, the reality is they might say bye. So there's some states that have protections for you, some that don't. So do your research, but just some food for thought, some truth about the field there that you have to consider. If you're wanting to become an RBT or if you're wanting to grow in this field, make changes, think about that. I hope these facts were helpful, insightful for you. Make sure you guys share this video with anybody that you might work with that might be looking for position change, or anybody that is behavior tech or someone that's interested in going into this field. I think these are the unconventional things that nobody really tells you when you're considering becoming an RBT. Make sure you guys share this video with your friends and let me know what you guys think below. Bye guys.